Hello, my darlings, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Mariya. This channel is about spirituality. Please subscribe below so we can be YouTube friends. This video is about Mercury Retrograde. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the Mercury Retrograde that begins on March 15th and goes through April 7th. Anytime we have a retrograde movement of energies, it is the universe reminding us of our karmic debts associated with a particular planet. Mercury retrogrades are abound. It has become almost like a joke to blame everything on the Mercury retrograde. When anything and everything goes wrong, the cosmic joke is it's Mercury retrograde. Now, that being said, not every Mercury retrograde is created equal. Depending on what Mercury comes to heal for the collective, you may be completely falling apart during that time frame, or you may not notice it one bit. So today in this video, I wanted to provide a perspective on what this upcoming Mercury retrograde period or season is going to bring up for the collective. What are the lessons that Mercury is here to teach us? What is the karma that is coming up for the collective to be healed? And how you can best navigate that period without, experiencing the lapse in communication or the collapse in connectivity, etc., etc. Like I said, depending on what Mercury is here to heal, or what any retrograde planet is here to heal, really, if your personal karma is a dead match for the energies that retrograde season wants to bring up for humanity, you're going to really feel it. You are going to be a vibrational match to those energies, which means you are going to be not in control. It is the planetary movements that are really going to run your life. However, the opposite is also true. If whatever a retrograde planet is coming to heal for humanity is healed in you, then it's going to be smooth sailing. Either way, if we only were to understand what the lessons are, wouldn't it be so much easier for us to work through our karma? Yes, it is very much by design, shall I say, that any kind of retrograde energies are labeled as challenging, right? Because those are karmic times. Now, we live on a planet of karma. What do I mean by that? We live on a planet where karma is very front and center. It's impossible to escape. All of us come with 3 to 5 major karmic knots for our lifetime. And there are all of these minor karmic knots that come up for us all the time. So as far as this upcoming retrograde period, in terms of levels of intensity, it's going to be medium plus. So it's not the most intensive Mercury retrograde that you're going to experience. It's also not the lightest of the energies. It's a little bit harsh. One of the karmic points that Mercury is here to heal in us is impatience. Don't you guys love it? Now, Mercury is a very youthful planet. It moves fast. It likes activity. It likes being active. It likes being out there. It likes being in the open, which means that it also comes with its own set of challenges around impatience. So if you tend to be on the more impatient side, do you know that this Mercury retrograde season is going to be a little bit more challenging on you than others? I find that when you are in this state of impatience, it's really the other side of control. And control is the other side of the lack of trust, really. So what this is showing to us as a fundamental problem is that you do not trust the flow. You do not trust the universe. You perhaps do not trust others to have your best interest at heart. Perhaps you are subconsciously expecting other people to not do right by you, or betray you, or disregard you, etc., etc., fill in the blank. And because of that, you have this need to control. With impatience specifically, though, it's controlling other people. It's impatience with other people that is coming through for us. It's perhaps having a short fuse with certain people. It's perhaps feeling like things are moving too slow. It's imposing our own expectations on people and wishing things were different, right? So it's not really giving breathing room for other people to be who they are, right? So it's that kind of impatience that Mercury retrograde is here to heal. There's a second kind of impatience, which is, why are things just so slow with my projects, with my life? Why is my life not on track? So it's a little bit of like impatience that is coupled with self-blame. So watch out for those tendencies, because impatience coupled with self-blame is a little bit of a shadow of the solar plexus center. So despite the fact that Mercury is very often connected to the throat, in this case, we are looking at the issues with the solar plexus. And it is through teachers like Mercury in this case that we are meant to start experiencing our fullness. What do I mean by that? The impatience that we're feeling with the outside world is always a reflection of our impatience with ourselves. That is the lack mentality, right? In other words, if you believe the world is too slow, that means that you internally are lacking, because what you're noticing around you is the lack of speed or the lack of something. That means that your cup is half empty instead of half full. So watch out for where else does this mentality of lack come through for you, because impatience is often like a lack of time, perhaps, right? Or like a lack of something, right? Like just look for the lack, like where are you lacking, and drop into abundance. And what I mean by that is there is this concept of the void. Now there are, I could talk about voids for a while. By the way, in in my book Rose Codes, there is a lot about the void, because the void is an inherently feminine principle. It's an inherently feminine concept. So the void is essentially the womb of the Divine Mother, if you will, from which all of matter at one point emerged. We as human beings have access to the void. So we have access to the void. In this particular case, I'm going to introduce the void below. The void below is located. There are multiple ways to enter it. You can actually enter the void through your sacral chakra. You can enter the void from the spot that is 2 inches below your root chakra. So either way, it's down below. And it looks like this black ocean. And you would notice that if you allow yourself to connect with that energy, literally drop into it and swim in that ocean, you would notice that there's lack of no thing, meaning that this universe is lacking nothing. In fact, you have the building blocks, you have the energy to create anything you want to create, because you are a creator being. But it is that reminder that you are the creator being that you need in order to be able to whip up the antimatter inside of the void into shape. So in other words, anytime you are impatient, what is this the dead giveaway for? That there is a creator in you waiting to be birthed. So ask myself, if you're feeling impatient, what is it that I am being called to create? And allow yourself to do a meditative experience where you dive into the void of the mother and you finally allow yourself to have all of the energies that you have been denying yourself. Because anytime there is this sensation of lack, it is because truly you have been denying a certain incoming resource. The resource has been trying to come into your body and you have been denying it because, maybe it's hyper independence, maybe you think you can do things better on your own. All of these are often subconscious tendencies. That being said, always ask yourself, like, what is it that I'm being denied or I have been denying myself? And flip that switch. It is actually as simple as making a choice to absorb those kinds of energies from the void, because the void has all kinds of energies. By the way, the void, I'm just tuning into the collective, doesn't mean bad, dark, or evil. The void has everything in it, including light, right? Just wanted to remind you. Okay, going back to Mercury retrograde. So the first one that Mercury is here to heal is impatience. So watch out for impatience. And, cultivate trust. And they're showing me just a simple journaling exercise, which is almost like less so of a journaling, but more of a rewiring exercise. And it starts with this very simple statement, I trust. And what the guides are showing me is you're supposed to write the statement that starts with the word I trust 33 times, and it has to be a very different statement every single time. And it can go as follows. I trust that the universe is going to take care of me. I trust the people around me. I trust that tomorrow is going to be better than yesterday. And literally all these positive statements that start with the word I trust can really help reframe your lack of trust. So, okay, Mercury retrograde, first thing, patience or impatience, lack of thereof. That's the first shadow that's creeping up for the collective. The second shadow is lying to yourself. So it's like all of the things that maybe deep down inside we know, but we haven't even acknowledged to ourselves. All of the things that we haven't acknowledged as a problem. It's kind of like when you have a drinking problem, but you're like, you don't think it's a drinking problem. You're like, oh, I'm just enjoying it. I could give up anytime. I could quit this anytime. But it's a little bit of, can you really? And so there is these patterns of it's not, I guess it is a form of self-betrayal, because betrayal just wants to come through as a word so strongly. We don't always perceive, though, lying to ourselves as a form of betrayal, but it is. It is a form of betrayal of our own truth and therefore our path. Because when we lie to ourselves, we cannot, by definition, be fully aligned to our path, because our paths are always connected to our highest truth, our highest integrity, our highest honor. And so ask yourself, if you are feeling the turmoil during this Mercury retrograde season, ask yourself, where am I lying to myself? If that is too harsh of a statement, for instance, for your journaling exercise, ask yourself something that's a little bit softer. Where have I not been completely honest with myself? Ask yourself in a journaling exercise, what are the things that I have been brushing under the rug? Then ask yourself, what is the pink elephant in my room? What is the thing that is so obvious that I am just not addressing? And start actually from there, right? So the first part of healing is always the awareness. The second part of healing is the action. What do you do with that awareness? And of course, with these kinds of self-revelations, the only way you can cure self-betrayal is to stop betraying yourself. In other words, start telling yourself the true story. What is the true story, right? What is the true story? But also acknowledge that. I like this distinction. Essentially, everything that is in our lives, that exists in our lives, it exists there because we actually enjoy it. We actually love it. It may look like pain, but we love it. And when you start reframing things that are negative in that light, a lot of things that are in the background in your subconscious start coming up. And it can be as simple as somebody being in an unhappy marriage, just to give you an example, right? And they are in an unhappy marriage, it is what it is. What helps reframe the conversation, even inside of your own head, is the statement like this: I am in an unhappy marriage, and I love it because. So essentially, the "and I love it because" is really the unlock here. Because if you actually did not love it, or if fundamentally a part of you was not okay with that, you would have already been gone from that marriage, right? So look for payoffs. What are the hidden payoffs that you're getting? What are the payoffs that you have been getting? In other words, every single negative circumstance in your life is there because you allow it to be there. It is because there is something in that for you as a learning. Right? But once you actually realize what this payback is, or payoff is, you may start healing that, and you may actually realize that you have been paying for something with your unhappiness, not even knowing that, right? Which is also a form of self-betrayal, and it's a form of lying to yourself. But there are definitely some hard truths around relationships that are coming front and center to the surface, the things that you know, but you have just not gotten around to addressing. And those are glaringly obvious. Those are not big surprises. So look out and watch out. What is the relationship in your life that is not in alignment to who you're meant to be or what makes you happy? And stop lying to yourself. That's the lesson of this Mercury retrograde. Now, of course, for people who are resisting that challenge, this Mercury retrograde season may be tumultuous, to say at least. And, how do how would you know that it's tumultuous? It's like when things are slipping through your fingers, like when all kinds of random accidents all of a sudden happen, when you lose things, when, something gets stolen, there's all of these other things. It looks like a negative ripple effect in the weft of your life. Like if negative circumstances, big and small, start happening for you between March 15th and April 7th, it's probably a sign that there's something around the energies of Mercury that requires a clearing. There is a third chunk of karma that Mercury is here to clear, and that is standing up for your truth. And that is the third and final thing. That is standing in your integrity, saying things exactly how they are. And it's almost like the guides, the spirit, the universe wants you to practice crystal clear communication. That means being crystal clear about your needs and desires in relationships, about your wants. Sometimes it means being crystal clear around the boundaries. Because some people get upset with other people when those people treat them a certain way, but they've never really established the boundaries in the first place, right? And it's that lack of boundaries, overt and otherwise, that could be creating this discomfort, right? So when you're practicing crystal clear communication, it's actually very liberating because you get to stand in your truth. But what that requires is courage. And that's where we come full circle, that this Mercury retrograde is really here to heal our solar plexus, because that is where our courage lives. That is where our definition of self lives. And that is where our knowing lives, that we're going to be okay. And one of the things that comes front and center is inner child work in order to heal this. There is an inner child that lives inside of your solar plexus, most likely, that does not feel fully confident, that doesn't feel like they've got it. And the way to heal that child is by introducing them to a parent part of you and reminding that child that you are the parent now. Like you can be a parent for them, right? So you, from your perspective of being this grown-up self that you are, essentially should take this caretaking approach towards your inner child. And you should take this caretaking approach as it relates to your child and remind them that you're here for them. And that is where your confidence really begins. It's like the confidence from within, not the confidence from without. It's actually really hard to get courage from without. It's like a resource that you usually build up over time from within through taking courageous actions. So it's almost like you take the action first, like when you're like move through fear is what it is. But the easiest way to move through fear is when your inner child is taken care of. And on my meditation app, One Mother, I have a number of inner child meditations that could be helpful on your journey of healing your solar plexus. I do, and I believe it's free. I have a free solar plexus meditation as well that can really, really help you in this Mercury retrograde journey. Now, the app is only available in the App Store, no Android version yet. So apologies, but if you do have an iPhone and you feel called to check out my meditations, I wholeheartedly invite you to. All right, my darlings, please let me know how you in general feel about Mercury retrograde and how normally you feel during this period. And let me know if this video has been helpful. It's my first time ever doing a video about Mercury retrograde energy, so I have no idea if this is of interest to you guys. I would love some input from you. On that note, big warm virtual hug, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, loves.